This is Quarantine Chronicles, episode 20, February 21st. To my virtual left, Jason.
Hello.
To my virtual right, Angel.
Hey,
you. It's usually what's up. You threw me for a loop there.
I was going to say, I never understood the people, like YouTubers or anyone that starts with, "What's up, guys?" It's like, no one can answer you. Who are you asking? Why or how's it going, guys?
I mean, it's like a conversation with your audience. I mean, they're literally talking at the camera.
Yeah, but
the engagement does come later, but I mean,
I guess what I'm saying.
I don't know. It makes sense to me.
I guess.
I don't know.
It just always rubs me the wrong way.
There are also people that, will not finish the entire YouTube video. And so, they will comment based on something that will happen within, I don't know, the first 2 minutes of a 10-minute video. So if somebody goes "Hey YouTube," and the guy or girl just goes into the comments, "Oh hey," almost immediately. And not only that, but some people when they do upload their videos, they stick around for the first couple of comments. So hey, you never know.
True. Who am I to judge the people that also say smash that like button?
Yeah, exactly. Funnily enough, the person that has the best YouTube intros is this Twitch streamer called Nick Merckx. He's one of the top Twitch streamers, but his YouTube intros, they're all, how do I say this? He has this cadence that he just repeats perfectly throughout every single video. It's almost like it's painful for him, but just look him up. Just look up Nick Merckx and see his first 5 videos, and you'll see that he does the same "Hey YouTube" to the T, almost like it could probably be the same wavelength, honestly.
Yeah. It's funny because I make a conscious choice when we do normal random Nintendo of saying hello and welcome in a slight variation from time to time to not be really? How he's doing. Slightly. I'll be hello and welcome, or hello and welcome, or hello and welcome.
Sounds exactly the same to me.
Listen, deep.
Maybe it's one of those things where
it sounds different in my head.
It'll be a nice Easter egg for the one person that actually grabs your hello and welcomes. And,
I hope someone goes back and listens to all 249 of them and goes, it is slightly different. And not just because the audio quality got better as we understood how to do this over 10 years, but
considering,
can't believe we used to record on a MacBook without any mic.
The first few episodes, literally, we sound underwater.
I heard that first episode. I went back. Yeah, that's
it's rough. It's great. Let me tell you, great analysis, great insight, rough audio. Not to our own horn, but
I mean, rough is putting it mildly. Well,
yeah.
It's it was a very, very scuffed. And then, not only that, but you guys are also 10 years younger, so your voices are much squeakier than they are now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think he just undid that statement. Did you hear that, really? That was high pitch.
but to be fair, that just might be because of the MacBook audio.
I think it probably was.
Puberty 2?
Yeah, Puberty 2.
Puberty strikes back.
Puberty apparently doesn't end until your mid-20s, so.
I guess that was my early 20s.
Yeah.
And I mean, voices, they do keep getting deeper and deeper, technically, until you get way older. It's not someone in their 40s is going to sound exactly like when they are in their 80s or something.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
going to sound way different.
Yeah, that's true.
So, voices do change, I guess. Yeah. Just the height typically doesn't. I guess you get shorter, in theory. From your spinal cord slowly compressing.
Oh, is that why you get shorter? I didn't go to college, so I don't know any basic information.
I guess in your spinal cord there's these cushiony plates that over time the little if you
discs.
measure your if you measure your height at the beginning of the day right from waking up and then measure your height again right before you go to sleep, in theory you should be a little shorter because from being up all day. They compress and then they kind of expand again when you're sleeping. But, over time and over years, they're going to just start getting shorter and shorter. Maybe that's why you get more back problems the older you get. Just because they're not fully compressed anymore.
Oh, God, that's depressing.
Who expected when they turned on this show to get an anatomy lesson? Not me.
I don't remember where I learned that.
Death is coming for all of us.
We're all going to die.
Well, our time in this world is only so long. You gotta make choices and whatnot.
That's our new little Timmy for the podcast. That's gonna be the running.
Little Timmy, everybody's gonna die except Little Timmy. Little Timmy will
stay Lil forever,
way past. Yeah, and he's gonna
always be Lil in our
way
hearts.
past when we die.
Yeah.
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 So, I finally got the chair that I wanted.
Yeah.
What'd you
find?
So hold on, I'll link it to you guys. So it's probably this weird like Chinese brand, or not even Chinese brand, Chinese manufacturer that then just I guess not leases, but I guess just gives the form factor to all these different brands, and then they just stick their brand onto it. So, and I did it with the help of Victor, because Victor was also looking for chairs. So, and it's actually sitting unbuilt in my living room right now. I really wish that I could build it, but
that's exciting.
So I'll have that to look forward to when I'm off.
Chair impressions, butts on.
Chair impressions. I'll give it to you guys. But anyways, so look at the second picture of that link that I sent you.
All right, loading it.
Interesting. So it does have the push in the beginning that you mentioned, but interesting hollow design. I like that it kind of pushes you from the top.
So to describe it for folks who, because this is audio, obviously, basically, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but it looks like it has kind of the ability to do the angles that you were complaining you don't like last episode, but it has an adjustable arm that lets you adjust that angle to be pretty much as rigid as you want or as not rigid as you want. Is that, would you say, a correct assessment of this picture?
Of the second picture?
Yeah. Isn't that what it's showing? Doesn't that look like a adjustable thing?
The neck part looks like it's like forcing a slouch, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you could also. The good thing is that you can move that back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it has an adjustable arm on the back, and then there's like the back has a back. The back has a separate support back that can adjust the angle of the back that your back is on.
Sure.
I made that more confusing.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm glad that my nightmare has come to an end. And for all I know, I will hate this chair, but at least I will know going forward that, I was an idiot for trying to find a chair like this.
Is it weird that in terms of like podcast content, I almost want you to hate it because it's always more fun to diss or hate something than to like something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's that saying there's like hate is a much stronger feeling than anything else.
Yeah, like think about like in like the Wii U days where I'd be like, Nintendo, what are you doing? And it was so much more like intense of a podcast, and now it's just like, hey, you're making money.
Now it's like, oh, you guys sold 50 million Switches again?
Whoa, who would have thought?
But I mean, I think it overall, yeah, I'd agree. But I think like personally, or maybe just over time, like I found being excited about something just much more gratifying. Because it's definitely a lot easier to point out flaws and things, but like I just remember having a lot of fun, like gushing about like the good place when we first talked about that show, and just like how much I loved it, how I think it's like practically perfect and everything.
Which I now understand, having finished it a week ago.
Versus, I can't remember the last thing I hated on, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I can't even remember the last one. I remember the ones I was talking positively about, but yeah. I mean, anger gets views for sure. There's a reason there's a angry video game nerd and not a happy video game nerd. Maybe there is one, but who knows? Whatever happened to that one.
You have seen nowadays some not a shift, but some balance where like CinemaSins, that YouTube channel, there is now a Cinema Wins where
is that also them?
No, it's not. It's some other guy. But at this point, CinemaSins isn't even really about the flaws of movies. Now it's just the guys making very, very bad jokes. Because it's like the narrator, a writer, and like a producer for each video. Yeah, but before it was like nitpicking little production flaws, like yeah, but
the newspaper doesn't actually mention all this, or like a lot of content.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought those were a lot more interesting, and then now
I stopped watching those videos just because now they're just sending literally anything that they just don't like, or they'll send something because they try to make a joke
because it isn't something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I stopped watching those videos, but their podcast is actually really good. I just listened to the podcast for those guys. They're very passionate about movies. It's actually sad how the narrator of CinemaSins, it's like apparently he can't enjoy movies to the fullest anymore because of his job, the channel, where like when he sees something, it's like, oh, that's a sin right there. And like he actively wants to stop that, but I think he also has like ADHD, so it becomes very hard for him to enjoy movies. Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah. It does make sense that sometimes when you like add a critical eye to something, it does change how you consume the thing, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, and I'm sure to a certain extent that's happened to all of us. Like, over the years of doing the Random Nintendo podcast and QC, maybe just like from movies we watch or games we watch. I'm sure we're watching them with a more critical eye, or just the more you learn about them.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed it with games. Like, even the way I play, because as I'm playing, if I'm like playing, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I'll like pause and write down what is interesting to remember to bring it up. So I'm like my play sessions have become not dramatically or detrimentally so, but have become a little disjointed feeling because I'll like stop, right, play again, stop, right, play again. Mm-hmm. So it's different for sure, but I guess that's just, the plight of being a podcaster, a journalist, if you will.
Even when I started learning about just like how to animate and like getting into shifted my perspective on just certain aspects of just animated films or even like the game industry for that matter. Not like it doesn't change my opinion on like if I like something, I'll still like something, or if I hate something, I'll still hate something, but I feel like it gives me more of an insight, like, oh, why exactly do I hate it? Is that actually something that deserves that much hate? Or, just stuff like that.
Right. And I think about it's true for announcements, too, because, like, when we'll talk about it next round of Nintendo, but obviously Nintendo just had the Nintendo Direct, and watching it, like, I was watching, like, oh, that's a cool game, but I was also watching it, like, what is the theme of this? Like, are there any trends here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had, like, a micro and macro version of watching it simultaneously, opposed to just being like, oh, cool, game, or whatever, So yeah, it's definitely changed how I perceive things. Maybe for the better. I mean, I enjoy obviously looking at it from all these different layers, but it's definitely a different perspective for sure.
Yeah, I still like to view those with kind of like a cynical eye. Like, I mean, I have my own like opinion of like what goes on those Nintendo Directs. Like things are either for you or against. I mean, not against you.
No, that's how you act when you text like, "Oh, this thing." You act like the game is actively killing your family.
When I'm giving 11 impression with friends, like I go at 11. Like we were like our friend who lives in Texas and was unfortunately like caught up in and all of that. We were giving him like. I was just texting them exactly like, oh, what game are they talking about now? They're talking about this thing. And then there was like a game, there were like 2 or 3 of them that I just wasn't really interested in. And I literally just said like, oh, they're showing nothing. Oh, they're still showing nothing. Or,
wow.
And at one point, or if it was a game that they've talked about like in other directs, like, it's a game we already knew about. I would write something like, oh, they're wasting time on this game. Oh, they're wasting time on this. They're still
never mind when they announced Project Triangle Strategy, which horrible name. But he's just like, oh, it's Fire Emblem. Oh wait, no, it's something that wants to be Fire Emblem. I don't know what it is. I don't care. It's just like, dude. But watch everyone next week when he talks about it on the podcast. It sounds so interested because it's all a lie. No, I know. I'm kidding. You just like to over editorialize for dramatic effect. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because we were texting like our good friend who, I'm pretty much okay just like, or without you making him look that stuff up after.
The point is, we're well aware a Nintendo Direct just happened. We know this is the first podcast after it, but this is not where we actually talk about it. So you have to tune in a week. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a long tease for next episode.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it next episode.
Oh, for sure. So much to say.
Yeah, but for this week, you're stuck with Quarantine Chronicles. So now it's time for the SoCal COVID update. Jason, jingle.
COVID. That's all you get this time. Short and sweet.
Okay. Well,
wow.
I don't know about sweet. It definitely was short.
It was pretty sweet. It was at least like fake sweet, like Splenda or something.
Yeah, Splenda's all right. It's what's it called? Sucralose, I think, is the name that it goes by. That's the thing that they shove into sparkling ice.
Speaking of, I know we've talked about sparkling ice on the show before, but I had one point a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we went to a whole flavor ranking a while ago, like off the cuff. But 62 bottles of it were in my apartment at one point. It's now down to about 34, maybe. Jeez. But yeah,
and were any do you have like 2 flavors black raspberry?
They were not, which was an error on our part, as you told me repeatedly via text or group chat or whatever. But no, they were not black raspberry. They were crisp apple, strawberry lemonade, strawberry watermelon, which is literally a liquid Jolly Rancher, lemonade, and lemon and lime. Those are the 5.
Huh. At most, there's only ever 24 sparkling ice in my place because I usually order 2 12-packs for my little mini fridge that I got in my room.
Yeah, we did however many 12 packs gets to 60 some odd. But yeah, because we realized like we could go to Ralph's or Vaughn's or whatever, and it's like, $10 for 10 bottles, or it's 12 bottles for $11 on Amazon. So, Galaxy Brains over here, we saved a few bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So with COVID, there's not much update, honestly. Mm-mm. Numbers are slowly declining, which I guess is a pretty good start. That only means that Wave 4 is going to start anytime soon. It looks like apparently SoCal missed those 2 new strains. Like, so far it hasn't been hit by them too hard, is what I've been reading.
And it sounds like early studies are showing that the current vaccines that are out there, some Moderna, Pfizer, presumably somewhat Johnson & Johnson, will work against the newest strains. So that's positive news.
Okay. Well,
yeah. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but the time it'll take to get the vaccines is it's a pretty lengthy tunnel, but there is for sure light at the end, which is nice.
Yeah. That also reminds me, we're episode 26 more episodes, and then we will have been in quarantine we will have been recording this episode for an entire year, which is way longer.
This one episode for a whole year, just this episode.
Oh, my bad. This one podcast for...
Wow.
this podcast for... which is way longer than I expected us to run,
seriously.
Honestly.
This was going to be like a mini-series. This is like when some network like HBO or something does a mini-series and then they go, oh, actually, and they end up like renewing it for like 5 more years.
Actually, this is way more successful than we thought it was going to be, and it's going to bring us a lot of money if we bring season 2. Yeah, why?
Except this one is like the pandemic death version of that. But yeah, same idea.
Exactly. And we don't make any money, no matter how many times we tell Jason, hey, let us get that sweet, sweet Raid Shadows Legends money.
Arguably, we are losing more money because there's now double the files on our server, which means we need more server space.
If Raid Shadow Legends came to Switch, would you try to get us that sponsor deal?
At this point, yes, because you guys are very persistent.
Alright, so we just got to get Raid Shadow Legends onto the Switch.
Yeah, so go get it to Switch and we'll talk.
I mean, if you get sponsored at this point, it would be helping you more because I know you handle a lot more of the financial back end.
As in, like, literally I pay for everything? Yes, correct.
A little more of the financial back.
Just a smidge, just the hosting and the domain, you know.
Yeah, so,
but then again, the Random Nintendo name came from me from high school, so I'm the one insisting on paying and running the show, sort of. So it's not like it's not just to you guys that I'm the one doing it. I'm being a control freak. So
I guess what we're saying is get sponsorship so that we can get more of it, so that we can actually make money instead of just breaking even or going negative.
Fair. Okay, next episode. Get ready, folks. It's going to be 20 minutes of ads. Just in a block, right at the top. You're going to get Shadow. You're going to get...
make sure that we get those ads where we get to improvise the dialogue and not just read off a script.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of Conan O'Brien's podcast. Conan Needs a Friend. Like, he just tears into the ads while getting paid to do those ads. It's great. But yeah, we're gonna get cool promo codes. So you're gonna be able to go like flowers.com, 100 flowers, and like enter code like random Nintendo or like Kevin Angel Jason or like something that's way too long. I doubt
that we can get Nintendo as a podcast code.
No,
I can already imagine the cease and desist that we're gonna get.
Yeah, no, and we're not also gonna have that ad as much as I want it. We're not that big.
Oh,
I know.
Well, we'll see. Raid Shadow Legends apparently sponsors anybody that has a pulse. Yeah. So.
New goal. Our goal was get into E3, get, that sort of like press cards. We did that. So the new goal is get our own custom promo code on something completely unrelated to us. 100 flowers, I don't know, one of those prescription drug delivery service websites, like anything.
I mean, we could,
that's not
sure we can add one of those like billion VPN sponsorships. It seems like there's always like Surfshark, I forgot the other one.
I mean, listen, if you need a cheap domain, check out GoDaddy.com with promo code whatever our promo code is.
Yes, Daddy Jason.
What?
Yes, Daddy Jason.
I'm ripping off the
Well, there's our episode title, huh?
Yep. You willed it into existence.
Yeah, apparently.
Alright, cool. So let's get into it. I kind of want to start with... Yeah, let's just start with Earwig and the Witch.
Something we've all seen.
Earwig and the Witch.
Probably, is this the first thing that all three of us have seen or played together or heard together?
I don't think so. I want to say there's one other thing.
There's been a couple, but it's been a while. It's rare. It's rare.
For all three of us? Okay.
Yeah. I think there's been a couple on and off.
I think off the top of my head. Okay, so yeah, Earwig and the Witch, the first 3D CG movie by Studio Ghibli or Ghibli?
Ghibli.
Okay, Okay, well, GIF, same difference. I've always said Ghibli for some reason.
The answer's GIF, by the way. GIF. Yeah, it's GIF. GIF. I know the dude who invented GIF says it's GIF, but like he's not an English professor, so no.
Yeah, exactly.
Strong feelings
if it's written in Japanese, it's Ghibli, so it would just be Ghibli.
Okay. Directed by Hayao Miyazaki's son,
Goro,
released on HBO Max.
The last boss from Mortal Kombat.
The last boss.
Is Goro?
Goro?
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah.
The forearm.
Yeah.
Thing.
Oh, I guess I've never seen him as a final boss, considering that he's just like a regular.
Oh,
fighter.
I mean like in the in the SNES game.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. You're right. I think Shao Kahn was still always last. He was probably like the second to last.
Right.
Him and Kintaro, the big baddie, one of the big baddies,
and the son of a famous director. Yes.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first, or you just want to dive into?
I feel like Angel, you are the biggest Ghibli guy of the bunch, right? Like I feel like you should take the lead here.
All right. Well, Earwig and the Witch. So I don't know. It was as good as I expected it to be. Like,
which was
how good were you expecting exactly?
Okay, because Goro Miyazaki, his track record with his films have been, the only other one I've seen is Up on Poppy Hill, and that one I enjoyed, but it was more like, I was entertained. Like there were some things I liked, but some things just kind of fell flat in my opinion. And unfortunately for him as well, it seemed like Hayao, his dad, I was reading like an interview, and apparently when he was screening Up on Poppy Hill, his dad literally walked out of it, like in the first like 10, 13 minutes of it. He was just like, nope, and he just left. So
his
dad
is kind of a jerk.
I feel so bad.
Like I've seen some other stuff where he's referencing his son's work. He's like, if he never directed again, that would be fine. It's like, wow. Dude. Like there's a chance for Ghibli to like transition to a new generation of directors as folks like him retire. They're not doing that. They're not like nurturing Goro in a proper way. It feels like his dad just like bashing him at every chance he gets. It's really not great.
Yeah, because his relationship with him is very much like tough love. Like I'm sure. I don't know. I have no idea, obviously. But, like, I want to believe it's, like, kind of out of love. Like, he wants him to figure it out on his own, maybe the way he did. But yeah, like, he doesn't really give him any kind of help. At least in this film, he was apparently one of the people that told him to, go for it. Like, he was the one that kind of convinced him to try this other direction with CG. He still didn't really help him, but, he was one of the ones that convinced him to pursue that. But, yeah, like...
How do you feel about that CG?
It just feels like a first attempt, because they, like, I wouldn't say it's bad, but, like, with the standards set by a lot of studios nowadays, especially, like, if you watched, the Lupin film from, a couple weeks back, like, that movie looks amazing, like, everything, like, the animation quality, the visuals, like, everything is just, like, on point, and this one feels just rougher. Like,
it's very
and the thing is, like,
2000s B tier CG anime movie.
And the thing is, like, I wouldn't say it looks bad. It's just that, if anything, there's just like some contrast. Like the backgrounds and the sets and the props are really well detailed, but the characters themselves feel like they belong in a different style film. It's almost like the world around them isn't stylized in the same way that they are.
Yes, but I noticed that. I will say, though, noticed that.
Like, they're just a lot flatter. It's almost like the whole world should have been a lot more cartoony, but it's almost like they couldn't decide which area to go with. And that's also due to the fact that, like, the studio literally had no one with CG experience. Like, they had to do this all from scratch, and that is incredible. Props for them for trying, because, damn, that is a huge feat, especially from a studio that has focused so much on 2D, because a lot of it isn't really transferable. Like, just making one rig takes a long-ass time, and that's why you kind of have to, like, shorten the scope. And unfortunately, like, this film just felt like incomplete. Like, I felt like I was entertained throughout. Like, I enjoyed my time with, like, I like slower paced films sometimes. Like, and this one, it kind of felt like Goro was going for the slice of lifeness of Up on Poppy Hill with some of the, and then trying to inject like some, I guess, Hayao whimsy in it. And it felt like, I don't know, it felt like it didn't really know what identity I wanted to go with. Like, Earwig, the main character, doesn't really see any growth. She kind of stays the same throughout the whole movie. She's spunky. I like her character. Like, she's spunky, she's confident, she gets what she wants, and you only ever really see, like, an arc from the characters she interacts with. Like, mainly the Mandrake, who is, like, this mysterious evil devil man, and this witch, I forgot her first name, is something Yaga.
I think it's Belle.
Baba Yaga,
Belle,
maybe?
Bella? Belle?
Bella Yaga?
Something
like that.
I should know. I watched it like 12 hours ago. I don't know why I don't remember the name.
And you know, like they, by the end of it, you know, like they have a better relationship, but there was a point like they're alluding to a mystery that's happening. Like you get little hints and things here, and even like the way it starts, it's like, oh, like what's going on? Like why is she being chased by the witches? Why did the band break up? Like what triggered all this? And you just, when you think like you're getting more and more, like literally when we were watching the film, we paused the movie at some point because like something came up and we had to just like take a moment to pause it. And then as soon as we looked at the TV again, we're like, wait, it's already gonna end? Like what the heck? Like we thought there was still like 30 minutes to an hour left based on like how the pacing was going. I thought we were gonna get a lot more, but then it just ended.
That
like it's like, oh, like it just like, oh, here's the mother now? Like what the heck? Like I thought we were gonna get, like,
spoiler alert, I guess. But that
yeah,
that is my biggest problem with it, is that the pacing was just way off. I feel like
it was paced to be a longer film, and it ended up just not being. I don't know.
I feel like
they had to do. They had to either, if they were going to go in this direction, they had to speed things along a lot more. But given their length,
and I think like to your point about like you're trying to capture some limbs, like just to fill people in who don't know what's going on with the movie. Basically, it's the story of this kid who's dropped off as foster home, gets adopted by the characters you mentioned, the Mandrake and Bella Yoga. Bella Yoga's a witch. The kid, you learn very early on, is a witch. And she's basically trying to like settle into the new place and feel comfortable and kind of wants her way. But because of the pacing, it's like, there's like 5 minutes of her at the foster home where she like runs the place. The confidence you're talking about, Angel. And then she goes to this other place with the Mandrake and Bella Yoga and just like spends about an hour and 15 minutes being like, I don't like this, and slowly kind of being like, I'm going to do something about it. And then it ends with her being like, I did something about it. But she has no change in personality, no growth, like you said. To your point about like the whimsy, like they tried to put some whimsy in, they did at one point have these little demon characters that I feel like was their attempt to do like the spirits in Princess Mononoke, like the forest spirits, like kind of these wacky little things that have like just like a tick almost. But they're only there for like 2 seconds. And at one point, one of them just looks at Earwig and goes, wow. And that's literally his only dialogue, and that's the extent of these characters' existence. But they clearly spent time designing them and sort of referencing them and doing things, but they don't do anything with them. And then that's kind of like what I felt like was the problem with the movie. Is they have all these ideas, they don't really do anything with them. Like they have a talking cat who is basically her only interaction where she can like be herself and kind of like plan things and figure out how to convince Bella Yoga to like her or let her do her thing or whatever. And like the talking cat, like there's so much of the movie where Earwig's just monologuing to herself out loud, which is just like exposition basically. She's just like talking through what the plot points are, which is weird. And they could have had that cat come in so much earlier and been like kind of the sound, like the two-way dialogue that eventually happens, but instead they just let her talk to herself for the majority of the movie. Like even that pacing felt weird. So never mind the ending where it just abruptly ends that you're talking about. Like every step of the way, they got the quirky character, it's there for 2 seconds. They got the cat that can be an actual like point of dialogue. They don't bring it until the last like 20, 25 minutes. Like it's very weird how off, like it feels like they started the movie at like it's going to be a 2.5 hour movie. And then like 2/3 of the way through, they're like, ooh, this budget. Cause I think it was a made for TV movie in Japan. So, ooh, this budget, we're running out of money. Let's just scoot everything up and then just abruptly cut it. Like it was so strange how it was paced to me.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate just cause like, just knowing who was going to be directing it and the fact that it was a first CG movie, like, I mean, I don't want to say I saw this coming, but like all these issues, I felt like my gut was telling me like these are all going to be present, and they were.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a stepping stone. And honestly, like because I've seen all but 2 of the 22 Ghibli films, like I like that every director like has their own take. Like Hayao has his own like whimsical coming of age thing. Takahata, his are more like solemn and more, I don't know, I feel like I kind of like his films overall a little more. I feel like I can relate to those more because they're very much about like real issues. There's rarely any magic in them. And I know like for many people, like they might come off as kind of boring, but I don't know, they just really spoke to me. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those where like, for example, I don't know, like Princess Kaguya or even, I guess like Grave of the Fireflies. Like some of those are just, yeah, they're depressing, but I don't know, they're great. But Goro, I feel, still hasn't really found his footing. Like I mentioned, the only two I haven't seen or even purchased, just because, especially now that I'm rebuying everything as a steelbook, are Tales of Earthsea, which is one directed by Goro, and Meet the Yamadas, which is a Takahata film, but I've already explained why I don't have it yet in the past, or why I haven't seen it. Just not really. It's based off a comic strip that wasn't made here, so yeah, there's no real incentive to watch it yet until it's like the only one until I just get it, the steelbook. But he went from a crazy fantasy one in the beginning that apparently didn't land to this Up on Poppy Hill, which is almost like the opposite of what he worked on. So now he did this, which tried to marry both, but I don't know. I just want to see what he does next. I feel like he's still finding it. I mean, he's only really done these handful of films, apparently without much help from his dad, who you think could really just guide him in the right direction. But I don't know. Well, we'll just see where it goes. It does give me optimism because, like not every Ghibli film is like super spectacular in their visuals. And I know in time, if Ghibli's going to be like focusing more on CG, I can only imagine them like pushing the medium in ways that we didn't expect. We're just not there yet. That's why I feel like if you're a big fan of Ghibli films, I think it's just worth watching as like a case study. And there was some enjoyment to be had from it. There were like some really cool moments. I loved the scene where like you see the mandrake coming out from the wall, or even just some of the interactions with some of the characters were fun. But yeah, like I don't know if I'd recommend it in general, like as a like, oh, you're looking for like a good film to watch, like check this out. I feel like it'd be more of like I think you could get something out of it if you were more, I guess, into that, I guess, library of films from that studio.
Yeah, I think the thing with this movie is there's like good ideas in it. They just weren't developed right. Like I think early on, they show that they have some technical prowess. To your point, that's like a case or like a stepping stone Angel. Like I feel like the first 5 minutes of the movie where they like have kids running around as ghosts in these fabric sheets on, is trying to show off their like texture work and their fabric work. And then there's a scene where like Earwig and Custard, which is her friend at the foster home, are going up like this spiral staircase, and they do this lighting, this kind of dramatic lighting with flashlights. And I'm like, okay, they're just showing off their lighting effects. Like definitely this is a first step for them, and they are showing that they can do stuff down the road. They're just not quite there
even in the
yet.
even in the very, very beginning where like, the witch is on the motorcycle and she like pulls her hair to turn it into like worms. Like that looked really, really cool. I was like, damn, like this actually just looks really, really nice. But then, it's like, oh, I guess that was part of their hardest like shot to film, if anything. And, or when the magic came out, as I mentioned, like that's the whole scene where the wall melts and it just looked crazy. It looked really cool.
And the kind of bummer is there are good ideas in here. Like I do like the idea of like a witch is just like you call them like the idea that you call a witch to like do you a service, like they're like a like a doctor or something. Like, hey, I need like to have all green lights on the way to work. Okay, yeah, let me whip something up for you. Like that I thought was kind of clever, and there's some good ideas in there. And even the thing of like one thing we haven't even touched on is like the dichotomy of like, so the witches with 70s rock music, like the fact that like the witches are like Earwig is like the 70s rock band and everything. Like, so the intro for the movie goes 2D and like psychedelic, which is really cool. And like that whole idea of like kind of they're witches, but they're modern, but they're into like music, and there's this band, and like that's kind of interesting, but all of it just kind of stops there. At least for me, like it didn't feel like it went further. I don't know, Kevin, like you haven't talked yet. How do you feel about this thing?
How do I feel about this movie? I would rather rewatch Cars 2 than rewatch this movie.
Wow. Shots fired? Yeah, right? Fired.
Absolutely.
Unless you secretly love Cars. Like
I have very, very few positive things to say about this movie.
I mean, Cars 2 is like a funny mess, though.
Yeah, and this is very... And obviously, in my opinion, this was a mess on pretty much everything for me personally. I didn't like the animation. I thought the CG was very, very poor. The whole, this is their first attempt at CG. I guess now that I know that almost nobody on the staff had any experience with 3D CG, okay, I'll give it that a pass. I hated, we all saw this on HBO Max, correct?
Yes, sir. That's the only place you can, I think.
Or
I guess you could go see
it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no Japanese audio track that we could switch to, correct?
I saw it dubbed.
I saw it subbed.
So I had English.
So, you saw it subbed?
I didn't know there was a dub.
Okay. Well, I saw it dubbed.
Yeah, I saw it in Japanese. Yeah, I saw it in Japanese.
The dub was horrendous.
Oof.
The lip syncing was terrible. Whenever there's bad lip syncing, it just takes me out completely out. Not only that, and I'm sorry to the actors that played some of these roles, I thought the dub was terrible. I was bored throughout the entire movie. There was absolutely no charm that I found in it. Yeah, there was one or two parts that looked cool visually, like you said, the beginning chase scene, where she uses the strand of hair. Sure, that was cool. But the rest of it just, it was that thing of, I was pausing the movie like, how much more of this do I have to take? I was never interested at all. And for all I know, that was the bias going into the movie. It was like, oh, well, this is not one of the good Studio Ghibli films. But even then, I tried to go into it with an open mind, and I refused to ever watch this movie ever again. I felt it was a complete waste of my time, honestly.
I will say one thing that I felt was missing is, I know, Angel, you're saying that you thought, that Earwig was confident and got what she wanted. She came off pretty, bratty to me. She wasn't really likable.
Immediately from the beginning, I was like, I'm not gonna like this character.
I liked the ideas of what they were, the concepts in the movie were cool, but the execution, she wasn't the best at all. She got what she wanted, but she did it pretty, selfishly and not, I don't know, and she was kind of a jerk to her friend Custard, who she then references for the whole movie like they were BFFs, even though I feel I don't know, the whole thing, her vibe I didn't really like.
Yeah, there's a very, very clear difference between confident and just obnoxious, and that's what I felt Earwig fell into. The
only time she felt sincere was when she was learning about her past or about the Earwig band and everything. Then she seemed like she had some genuine interest or happiness, but the rest it was just I don't know. Even to the poor cat, she was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, and I have nothing good to say about this movie. So, but I'm glad you found it okay, Angel. I feel like out of all of us, it would have been harder on you if the movie was just straight up bad.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Angel? I'm sorry.
That does make me wonder how the book actually is, because it's a short story, so. I don't know if they
I don't think they added much because there wasn't really a plot.
If maybe it did
I don't know what they could have added, because really you can take that movie and they had ideas in it, but because of how it was spread out, you could take that movie and condense it down to a 20-minute short, and it would have been probably better paced. The movie just didn't have a third act, so I don't even think it was essentially that was the case. There was no third act. It just ended where the third act would have been. But I don't know. I feel like they tried to stretch a short story into a full movie, and that's partly that plus maybe budget constraints, like I was saying before. I feel like they were the biggest pitfalls, but especially because they spent, like I was saying about the techno stuff, now that I think about it, they did the chase, they did the ghost fabric, the sheets, they did the lighting, they did the boat on the water, they did all these things in the first 10 minutes. I was look what we can do with 3D or with CG, guys, we got this. Those 10 minutes could have been spent in 2 minutes, the same, getting across the same plot points, and then actually develop things elsewhere in the movie. The whole thing just felt I don't know, miscalculated in terms of pacing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it didn't help that it just came off of, the Lupin movie coming out, because that movie, only thing I will say is that if you want to watch a good, I guess, movie with a witch, I would definitely recommend Kiki's Delivery Service. It definitely isn't as magical as some of the other Hayao films, but it's kind of similar. There's parallels. It's a witch for hire kind of story. Kiki she's old enough to leave her town and go find her own city to be the designated witch for, and just kind of making it out on her own. And I think that one definitely does a much better job. But yeah, it's also on HBO Max. And that one is directed by Hayao Miyazaki, so you get to see, I guess, what his dad does with a witch story, and I guess what his son did. But yeah, he still has a long way to go. By no means, while I wouldn't say I hated it. It's by no means one of those movies where I don't know. Usually, yeah, when I watch a good Miyazaki, Ghibli movie, I usually come out of it feeling whoa, I think I need to go take a walk and I get some introspective thoughts or something. But yeah, this one was just yeah. I don't know. It felt like I was watching. It was just what I expected, I guess. I don't know. I'm not disappointed nor overwhelmed. It was just, I don't know. I don't really know how I was watching.
Ultimately, for me, a thing was shown in front of my eyes, and it entered my brain, and then it left my brain, and that was it. Like it just was. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have like negative feelings afterwards. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, would I have given thought to the pacing if we weren't gonna have this conversation? I probably would have just been like, it is what it is, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, like looking a little more critically at it, I think there are a lot of missed opportunities because there is some potential in a lot of what it was doing. It just, yeah, kind of missed the mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To the next one. I mean, Miyazaki is working on another film, so
which Miyazaki? Let's be clear. We're talking about dad or son, because there is a difference.
A big difference, yeah. No, yeah, the dad, he came out of retirement long ago. He's working on a film called Who Are You? Or something like that.
Oh, he's doing Nintendo's GameCube and Game Boy ad campaign as a movie?
So obviously that, more either going to be on that.
Was it here?
Someone out there is going to appreciate that joke. Someone listening is going to be like, I remember those ads. Someone, I guarantee it.
Was it here or off podcast that we were talking about Jiro Dreams of Sushi?
I think it was off podcast. I don't know, but I think the parallel you're about to draw is very accurate.
Yeah, if anybody's seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi, Jiro...
Great movie.
Yeah, great documentary about sushi. Mm-hmm. Or I guess about this sushi maker, Jiro. Michelin star sushi chef who...
Oh yeah, legacy.
Yeah, who's got this huge legacy. He's considered one of the best of the best. And his son works with him. His son is almost... Well, at the time of filming that documentary, he was 50. His son working for him, and there's this part of the movie where they say, well, you know, eventually Jiro is going to pass and his son's going to have to take up the mantle, and no matter how good he makes sushi, everybody's going to just think of it as inferior to his father's. Even if it surpasses it, everybody's just going to think that it's inferior. And so hopefully that doesn't happen to Goro, but I don't know, his efforts haven't seen the same acclaim. I literally just told you everybody how much I hated this movie, but I don't know. I mean, hopefully he.
No, yeah. I mean, he's
obviously we don't want filmmakers to fail, you know.
Yeah, but it's interesting to look at like how companies pass the.
No, yeah, but he still has a long way to go.
Yeah, but like the fact that like it's going this slow, like it really
he's definitely not getting that.
Yeah, exactly. Because like look at like how Disney transitioned, and they went through their bumps, but you know how they transitioned away from like the Walt era, like even how Nintendo is right now in the process of kind of like phasing out Miyamoto slowly. Like there are ways to do this where you sort of groom the next generation and teach them the values and do it, you know, a way to kind of carry the ethos of the company on. And there are ways to not do it. And something like Hero Dreams of Sushi, like obviously, there's only so much you can do. It's like, here's how to make sushi. Okay. The son's going to be a direct comparison to his father. But like, if you have a team of people, if you have like Studio Ghibli or something, like there are ways that you could teach the principles of what it, you know, this, that, and next thing, and then be there and mentor. And like, it feels like they are not doing that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Which I'm kind of worried about because Takahata already passed away. He was like one of my favorite directors from that studio. And we all already know how, you know, the Miyazakis, like, you know, treat each other. So it's like, do they even have anyone left at this point? I mean, you know, Hayao probably only has this movie left in him. And then it's just going to be Goro, I guess. And everyone else is going to be like completely new. I don't know. It's not looking good. But, you know, you gotta have your lows to have your highs. And, you know, I'm still a fan of the studio. I'll just keep watching, see what happens. Hopefully Goro gets better in the future, but
there's a small part of me that I hope this isn't true, but there's a small part of me that thinks that Ghibli's just riding on their name at this point a little. Like they're like, oh, we're Ghibli, like we're gonna have a theme park soon, guys. Like we're fine, and it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. That you gotta put in some effort to ensure that you stay fine. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, crazy they're gonna have a theme park. Like that's super cool. They're gonna have like Howl's Moving Castle like in the park. Like it'll be like a physical thing.
Really?
Cool. I don't think it'll move. I don't think it's gonna move, but it's gonna be like physically there to look at.
No, that's awesome. Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite.
Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle? It's not gonna move.
It's gonna be Howl's Castle.
Yeah.
Move will be scratched out.
my favorite Ghibli movie for sure. Howl's Moving Castle.
Andrew, what would you say your favorite is of all of them? Like if Kevin's is Howl's, what's yours?
Probably hard. Probably between Whisper of the Heart and Princess Mononoke. They're both like completely different films.
Mononoke is very good.
Like
Mononoke is great.
Yeah, one is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's really great. That one's just, it has that environmental message. It's action packed. It's visually stunning, as a lot of those are. And Whisper of the Heart is like kind of the opposite. It's like there's only like maybe 2 settings. It's just a lot calmer and chiller. But it's just about like pursuing a career and just like taking a chance and that kind of stuff. And I think I just watched it at the right time, and it was like, damn, like it was just kind of inspirational in a way. Like, kind of encourages you to take risk and just like not be so hell bent on just like, I guess, keeping with pace with like what you're. I guess don't get comfortable. I guess, yeah, don't get comfortable and don't get caught up in the routines, I guess. But I don't know. It was good. I really like that one. I know that one specifically, and some other ones that I like are typically on the bottom of best Ghibli movies ranked. But I don't know.
You should do a ranking of your own.
What about you, Jason? I don't know how many you've seen actually, so.
It will never not blow my mind that Billy Bob Thornton is in Princess Mononoke.
Maybe I will.
That's always weird to me. Never not gonna be weird. So is, I think, the guy that does Bender in Futurama. Like, it's such a weird cast. Like, and then they have like Gillian Anderson from like X-Files, if I remember correctly, isn't it too? Like, it's such a weird cast.
Wait, did you say that Billy Bob Thornton does the voice of Bender
is in
Futurama?
Princess Mononoke? No. Billy Bob Thornton and the voice of Bender in Futurama.
Oh, okay.
Joe DiMaggio, whoever his name is, are both in Mononoke along with Gillian Anderson. It's such a weird cast. Like, every time, that's the one I've seen the most, and every time I see the credits, I'm like, what?
Definitely have to watch.
Wait, what?
A lot of these.
Like, multiple times.
So is that your favorite then?
Definitely have to watch some of these movies again, just because, like I mentioned, for the most part.
Yeah, no, it is because of Billy Bob Thornton. No, I just think it's.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just thought like the message and the little forest spirits. I really like them. But yeah, it's I don't know. I really like that one. Yeah, it was the first one I saw too, so it kind of set the bar really high for me with Ghibli.
Yeah.
If you like that one, kind of like I mentioned, like if you wanted like a much better witch movie, I recommended Kiki's Delivery Service. But if you liked Princess Mononoke, not as like bombastic as it, but I would recommend you watch Pompoko, which it should also be on.
Yeah. They're all on HBO
because that one is kind of the same themes. It's about like it's about like environmental destruction, but it follows like the Tanuki, which like here we know them more as like Mario's power up, but it's literally just about like a group of Tanuki trying to survive like their ecosystem getting destroyed by people and trying to adapt and in some ways fight back, but ultimately you just have to watch to see what happens.
Right.
And a lot of what they're really known for in their statues. Like, they definitely leverage that a ton in the movie in very creative and weird ways. That's all I'll say. If you know what I'm alluding to.
I'll see in due time.
All right. Cool. Angel.
Pretty sure.
Your brother bullied me into getting Phasmophobia a few weeks ago.
Holy Kevin, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, except he has made me endure this painful experience that is ghost hunting. If anybody thinks that they could be ghost hunters...
Ghost hunting? Interesting.
If anybody thinks that there's like, oh yeah, I could be a ghost hunter, this game will just put people in their place, man. And it's a video game. So Phasmophobia, I've been playing it for the last few weeks, with the squad, including the perpetrator of making me buy this game, Angel's brother, Elvis. This game is terrifying. So, in this game, you play as, a ghost hunter. And there are various missions that you can accept and then take. The couple ones that we have done have all just been house-related. Where, like, you're going into this 3-bedroom house with, like, a basement, or this 3-room house that has 2 stories, and basically you have all this equipment to your disposal. You have either of you ever seen, like, I don't know, ghost hunters on like sci-fi or just any ghost hunting show?
Like once, bored in a hotel years ago.
Once, yeah.
Oh man, really?
And it was something. I remember
feeling like another frustrated because like every sound or something is like. It's always like, oh my god, there it is. Like, oh, you hear that sound? Like, I don't know.
And then the camera whips around really dramatically, and there's nothing there.
Well, let me tell you, that's exactly how it goes in the video game too, where we're just walking and we'll hear something, and everybody will just freak out. Wait, what was that? It's man. So I used to love Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi. I would watch that show religiously. That was my. I get this thing with reality shows where if I see a couple of episodes, I will then just see pretty much the entire series. That happened to me with Ghost Hunters and Hell's Kitchen. But Ghost Hunters, obviously, when we talk about Overcooked, I'll talk about Hell's Kitchen. But right now we're talking about Ghost Hunters. Yeah, so you will you have this book. It's almost like a compendium of all these type of, what do they call them in the game? I guess just ghosts. But there are different type of ghosts. So there are these things called revenants. There's banshees. There's what I forget what the Japanese ghosts are called. Onis? I think there's an oni in there. But anyways, each one of them will have,
I think only
sort
they're
of a
demons,
description.
but it's part of the same thing.
Okay. Anyways, there's this. The book will tell you. We'll have this list of all these demons or all these ghosts, and it'll tell you what their weakness is, what equipment you will need to use in order to find this. Basically, you're going into a house and you have no idea what the demon is, what the ghost is. I keep saying demon, what the ghost is. And so you can carry up to 3 items, and items vary from stuff like an EMF reader, which if you've seen Ghost Hunters, you'll know what an EMF reader is. It's basically this little talk box that will show how much quote unquote paranormal activity is like surrounding you, and it has 5 levels. It starts at green, and when it hits up to red, you'll know like, oh, there's activity around here. There's a little ghost book. It's literally just a book that's blank and a pen, and you set it down. And if you walk away and you come back, if it's a type of ghost that is quote unquote weak to the ghost book, they will have written in the book. You've got UV flashlights where you're searching around, and then all of a sudden you see a handprint. So depending on the equipment that you use and depending on the reaction that the ghost will have to the equipment, will narrow down the list of which possible ghost it is. And so it's almost like a puzzle in a sense. There are ghosts that are really, really violent to people who are alone. And so that leads to some funny situations where we will find the room where the ghost is most likely at. It's like, oh, it's in the bedroom. And so what we will do is we will have one of the guys go into the bedroom by himself in the dark and close the door and just have him try to talk to the ghost, because the game also uses your mic to...
Oh, interesting. So it's Hey You Pikachu, but demented.
Interesting.
Yeah. So basically what we do, we're all in the same Discord call, but as soon as we get in the game, there's push to talk.
It's your boy.
It's almost... Yeah, it exactly is like that. I remember...
What's up, ghost? Like that. Like and subscribe.
It's definitely not as deep as that. It's, you really only ask it 2 questions, which is, what is your name? Or, like, why are you here? I forget what the 2 questions are. But I remember the first time that I had to do it, I was in, like, the laundry room. I asked it a question, and I heard yes. And I was like, all right, get me out of this room. Get me out of this room. I'm done. And the way that the physics in this game work is so funny. It's like in real life, if somebody's trying to open a door, open a door towards them to like leave, and if I'm looking the opposite direction just to make sure that the ghost doesn't like kill us, I am still technically blocking the door. So that happened in one situation where our buddy Celso was trying to leave, and I'm just freaking out looking at this ghost coming towards us that I was blocking his way, so he couldn't open the door, and Celso got killed while I got away scot-free. As terrifying as, and every now and then you'll get glimpses of the ghosts, and it's terrifying. The models that they use are so scary in a sense. It's definitely a fun game to play with others, because you see just how scared your friends are going to be. One of the funniest and I've recorded some of our runs. One of the funniest things that ever happened to us. You do have like a ghost fan where there's all your equipment and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll show you some right after, especially because, oh man, your brother had one of the funniest moments where one of our guys had died, so it left 3 of us. And so we had to go see if the ghost had written in the ghost book. And so the ghost van also has a couple of cameras. Not even. You can get cameras and you could set them up, and then you have a computer that gets live feed of that camera. So if you see little ghost orbs, you're like, okay, ghost orbs. Let's see which demon shows some ghost orbs. But we specifically had to go see if the demon book, if the ghost book had been written in. And so we sent out Celso, and your brother, Angel, was like, yeah, I'll go with him too. And so I see them go into the house, and then I'm just looking at the camera to see, like, hopefully they're good. And then I just, like, looked to my left, and your brother had chickened out and was right next to me. And I'm pretty sure Celso died because he was alone. It was probably one of the funniest moments that I had playing this game.
So how exactly do you die? Is it like an insta-kill? Or do you kind of have like a melee attack or like something where like the ghost touches you and you just die?
Actually, so it is where the ghost touches you, you die, but you do have a sanity meter that is displayed in the van. So usually what will happen is if you look at the ghost directly, your sanity will go lower. Staying in the dark will also lower your sanity. So it's almost like this strategy. Mm-hmm. So usually a run will go like this. We will have one of the cameras. We will have the EMF reader, and as soon as we get any sort of activity, all right, we'll be like, all right, let's put the camera down, and let's put the book down, and then go back to the van. And by the time we go back to the van, our sanity has already dropped by like 20, and so we're like, all right, we're all at 80. Let's go back in, and usually somebody will have way less sanity than the other, so then that guy becomes the person who sticks in the van as much as he can before we actually need him. There's also like an activity detector in the van that'll tell us if the ghost is acting up. So we will know, it's like, okay, if we go into this room, activity just spiked in the van. So that means that room must be where the ghost is. And so far it's been incredibly fun. It's definitely terrifying. The only issue that I have with it is that progression is very, very slow, and it's not always apparent how. So aside from trying to figure out what kind of ghost it is, there are these side objectives, and one of the objectives that we've never figured out how to do is you have to take a picture of a dirty sink, and every sink looks exactly the same whenever we turn it on. So it's obtuse in some ways that I'm sure we'll figure out at some point. But the progression isn't that great either. Even if you complete 3 objectives, you'll get some money in return to then buy more equipment for like your next ghost hunt. But that'll usually mean that like, oh, I can buy one stronger flashlight. I don't know. It's very fun. It's very terrifying. And it's...
Wait, is this free to play?
No,
or is it...
It is, I think it's $20 right now. It's in early access. But it's being developed by one guy, which is very, very impressive. And it's funny how the game is very low budget, but the fact that it's so dark almost adds to the atmosphere a little bit. Yeah, it's a great game. I can't wait to play more. And just we're still in like house mode where we're just hunting houses. Apparently, there's a prison. There's like barnyards that you can are farms where there's some ghosts, so I can't wait to get into that stuff. Some of the bigger stuff that, we're going to need 50 cameras for, a bunch of crucifixes. There's Ouija boards that some ghosts will like utilize. Yeah, it's a great game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Apparently...
Honestly, if it wasn't for the mic stuff, I'd be like, bring it to Switch, but it sounds like you need a mic.
Not that a mic is absolutely needed.
I guess you could map that to a button press. The 2 questions you ask.
I'm sure that could be replaced with a button. Yeah. I'm sure that could be a button.
This seems great for Switch. Like, if you think about, like, Among Us being on Switch and, like, how multiplayer-centric Switch is, like, this seems... And, even Dead by Daylight's on Switch. Like, this just seems right up that alley.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, it is only being developed by one dude, and...
Yeah.
I'm sure he's trying to get the game out of early access before he brings it to...
Oh, of course.
Before he brings it to other consoles.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also in VR, which, man, I can't even imagine playing the game in VR. We've been playing it just regular just on a modder. So, oh man, but yeah, Phasmophobia.
VR sounds like it'd be a game changer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was trying to figure out how to use my PS VR headset on PC. It's so hard. It's so complicated. Yeah.
I feel like there's like a few games. Possible? Yeah, is it possible?
It is possible.
Actually possible?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's a few games that really, like, you play in VR, or there's a VR version, it doesn't compare. Like Super Hot, for example. That's on Switch. That's on other systems, but, like, I tried it in VR, like, on Oculus 2, and, dude, Super Hot, so, you feel like you're John Wick. Like, it's so, and that's kind of someone who's never seen John Wick. But it's so fun, just, like, you're making the motions, you're catching guns in midair, you're shooting things, like, it's really, I can't, after playing VR, I cannot imagine playing it on, like, a Switch, or a PC, or a PS4 or whatever. I imagine this is one of those things that once you try in VR, you would never be able to play it in like normal flat screen world again.
Yeah, I mean, some games.
It fits in how you're describing it.
I remember Elvis had me try Resident Evil 7 in VR, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm just definitely never touching this thing with a 10-foot pole in VR. I would lose my mind.
Angel made me try it in VR too. Remember that, Angel? That was a good time. I didn't react like your sister though, Angel, because she like
one of my
fell out of her chair practically. But I definitely clenched my teeth when they went in to attack your teeth, like when they try and pry your teeth in Resident Evil 7.
I don't think they've announced VR for Resident Evil 8.
I don't think they have,
which is interesting. And VR hasn't even come out of Resident Evil 7 to like PC.
They haven't even mentioned any plans for VR on PS5.
VR is kind of backburnered again, it feels like.
Like the newest thing for it is Rogue Squadron, right? That's probably it.
Rogue Squadron.
The Star Wars shooter, or not? It wasn't Rogue Squadron.
The Star Wars
it's not
game
called Rogue
Like
Squadron.
it's on the cockpit of the.
It's not Rogue Squadron, but yes.
Squadrons.
You're right.
It's just Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah.
Not Rogue. Just normal. Not Rogue. just a squadron.
It's just squadrons. Yeah. Because apparently that one is like amazing in VR. Because you're in the cockpit of a fighter. I mean, it's like I'm sure a lot of people's dreams.
Yeah,
not just a fighter, like an X-wing.
The Oculus Quest 2 hopefully will be the game changer, because I remember the Oculus Quest definitely had more people intrigued, especially since you didn't need a computer, it was all in the headset. But I'm hearing great things about the Quest 2, so hopefully.
Oh, the Quest 2 is great. Yeah. I got to try it a couple months ago. It's really cool. And they do have a really good like onboarding to kind of give you, like, if you've never used VR, like, it's very friendly for people who haven't used VR about like how it works and how to like do things. Like, you're in this room, like this little demo room, and they have you like pick up an airplane, a little toy airplane into it. They have you like catch things in midair. They have you mess with dials, and you really get a feel for the controls. And VR has come a long way in the sense of, this is completely wireless. It can sense your fingers on the controller. So like if you raise a finger, it will like raise a finger because there's a camera on the front of the headset. So when you look down at your hands, it'll actually map your hands correctly. It's really slick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's still like VR. I don't think it's ever going to go quite as mainstream as people thought like 5 years ago, because there's still that barrier of you're so in a world that you can't there's no way to passively consume VR. And a lot of want entertainment to be somewhat passive. And I don't mean like a video game. A video game's active, but it's still passive in the sense of you can have a bag of chips next to you. You can text your friend while you're playing. You can, answer the phone if you need to. Or like if a pet jumps on your lap, you're not going to not know what it is. But if you're in VR, you have to like dedicate yourself to, okay, I'm going in the zone. I need to be full, like 100% energy. Here we go. And I think, for a general population, that has been a weird pill to swallow. But Oculus 2 is certainly the thing making the most moves in that direction. It exceeded Facebook's sales goals.
But people go to movie theaters. If they can do that, they can dedicate an
right, but that's $18 in a location where you're like sealed off. And even then people can't do it. They're still texting in movies. They're eating while watching. They're, it's not like you're paying $200 to completely
they shouldn't,
isolate.
But yeah.
They should eat. That's how the movie theaters make their money. But they shouldn't text.
Yeah, but you're not paying $200 every time though. But yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. You can do.
It's like a one-time payment, and over time,
but each game, right? Because you're paying for the system.
And you can watch movies in VR and replicate.
See
the
that
theater experience.
In the Oculus, like there are these basically. Remember on the Wii U, they had like the Google Map experience where you like are like kind of in a bubble and you move the gamepad around. You could be like, oh, I'm in Rome, and it like walks you down like a street view path. They had a variant of that in the Oculus store so it was downloaded on the Oculus I was trying, and they had a variant of like just like a video version of that where you're just like standing in a space and looking around and things are like flying by you and stuff. It wasn't that like it needs to be, I feel, catered to VR, not just kind of like, oh, well, it's like a normal 2D thing. It's just wrapped around you. And that's going to take a while for, there needs to be a groundswell of an audience to support making things fully immersive versus just like, hey, here's Shark Week, except it's like you're on the boat. Just kidding. Now it's like you're swimming next to the shark. Just kidding. Now it's like you're riding the shark, except all of it is happening whether you interact with it or not. You're just kind of like in a 3D bubble. And that stuff is going to hold it back, I feel like. Because a lot of people are going to think that's going to be like what VR is and not try, Phasmophobia in VR or try, Super Hot or what have you. So that's another hindrance. It's kind of a chicken and the egg problem. Like, who's going to make that content if no one's buying that content? But if people try the content and are impressed, they're not going to talk up the content. And it's kind of this weird, catch-22 they're stuck in.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I actually do need a VR headset for the computer just so hopefully I can see that 8-foot-tall lady in Resident Evil 8 up close and personal.
That Capcom had to put a statement out about, which is amazing. They actually addressed it. The designer of the character.
Oh no, she's 9'6" now that I think about it.
Yeah, he put out a statement explaining the height and thanking everyone for their interest, which is a very gentle way to put that.
Yeah,
interest. Yeah.
What would you get if you were to get a headset?
Probably the Quest 2.
Like a Quest or I guess an Oculus one or some other thing.
No, yeah, an Oculus Quest 2 because I do not have the room.
You also have the link, so.
Yeah, I do not have the room for, room scale stuff. So that means pretty much an HTC Vive is out of the way. A Steam, what's the Steam headset called? The Steam?
Literally Steam VR, isn't it?
No, that's the platform.
They didn't give it a flashy name, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I think it's Steam.
Oh.
No, it's called something. The Valve Index, there we go.
It wasn't
Valve Index.
Oh, right. To be honest, the only one that seems to have even been doing anything in terms of sales is Oculus. So you might as well get the front runner because that's got the most support in an already limited support ecosystem.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I also hear great things
Quest,
about room scale.
You have your portable mode or.
Right. Cool. Angel Reverso, your Reverso strategy.
So.
Oh, I hate this so much, Angel. I hate that you do this so much.
Psychopath stuff.
This is like, I expect to find out you are a murderer, like a serial killer based on this.
I mean, I still haven't done, the full, watching episode by episode backwards. Like, that one I'm saving for Schitt's Creek, just when I have more time to do. Which I feel is the worst, in theory, the worst of the 2 episodes I'm doing this to. I mean, 2 of the 2 shows to do it to, because, that one is obviously much more episodic. South Park, which I'm talking about, is, I guess, the seasons I started this with, because, I literally went for the most recent one, which was the quarantine special, which is referring to a special strand of weed that Stan's dad makes. But,
just to
there was definitely...
Because Angel, I realize none of us explained what you're psychopathic about. You are watching shows from end to beginning instead of beginning to end. We never actually said it. So, now go ahead. I just want to make sure people listening knew why we were calling you a psychopath.
I did just say it though.
Did you?
I said that I haven't done the full version. I said that for Schitt's Creek I was going backwards, episode by episode.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. Anyway.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's basically it. But for South Park, I guess what I did instead, at least for these first few seasons, I watched the seasons in reverse. So I started with season, I guess 24 was just one episode, but 23. I watched season 23 in order, but I watched that one first, and then I watched season 22, then 21, then 20. And the thing about these seasons in particular, I think beginning was 20 or 19. I think currently I'm on 18. But those were essentially like movies. Like, they had an overarching plot. If you just started watching one, in the middle of the season, you probably would have a lot of questions as to what's going on, why certain characters are doing this and that. They have cliffhangers. It's very interwoven, and it was kind of jarring, but interesting. I felt like it kept me wanting to know more, as to how things ended. For example, season 23, I guess Stan and his dad, I always forget his name, Randy. Yeah, Randy. I guess they've long moved to the outskirts of Colorado to start their own weed farm, Integrity Farms, and I was just and the intro changed. It was a brand new intro that whole season. And I was just like, oh, like, when did that happen? Why did that happen? And like the show almost seemed to focus entirely on Randy for the most part. And there were some episodes, like the B plots are what is easier to digest episode to episode, because those are pretty much, I guess, on their own. Like they have this whole, yeah, like, well, I guess besides, I guess, just like the wheat planting part, like they also have the election thing going on, obviously, because, you know, as you know, like South Park episodes are typically made in a week. And yeah, they're extremely topical for the time. And yeah, like I thought like, oh, Mr. Garrison is apparently president, and I guess he has like the Trump toupee, so like what the heck is going on with that? And I get resolution to what happened at the end of the season, but then I guess the weirdest part is when you go from like the last episode of season 23 where things are relatively resolved, but then you jump to episode 1 of season 22 where you pretty much get like a hard reset that you almost have to try to remember what happened, so you can be like, oh, okay, that's right. I'm gonna find out what led up to, you know, Randy getting his farm. And it's interesting because you do get that. Like, it hasn't been jarring enough that it made me want to stop doing it this way, but it does. I don't know. It's weird. It's like it gives me a weird like carrot at the end of the stick, because like I mentioned, it makes me want to find out why things, like, instead of, you know, seeing where the show is going, I guess it's like literally the opposite. It makes me want to see where the show was. Like there was, like, it's like season 22, like I guess mainly focused on Amazon, and I guess Man Bear Pig, which was literally just, you can replace Man Bear Pig with global warming, and that's literally what they were just talking about. But then season 21, I guess, was also just kind of all over the place. They introduced like a new principal at some point. Well, after all this, I was also wondering like who PC Principal was. He's like, I guess, his new principal that gets like really in your face for mentioning anything. Like, you know, if you say spokesman, he'll like literally, I think he literally beat up Cartman for saying the word salesman because he should be saying salesperson or something like along those lines. Like he put him in the hospital. But you know, then you still have like whole episodes that revolve around like a Whole Foods, like, and how, like, I guess like the South Park town got gentrified. And I don't know, it's not as confusing as I thought it was going to be, but it's definitely interesting. And it also just reminded me of how hilarious South Park was. I hadn't seen the show in a long time. It's kind of why I decided to do it with this one. And like even just like, I don't know, simple, like I guess like running jokes, like going back to the Whole Foods, they make a whole thing about when they ask you at the checkout counter if you want to donate $1 to charity, and how when you say no, they pretty much like make you feel really bad and they guilt trip you and stuff like that. Not that they do that in real life, but you know, they just exaggerated it because it's South Park.
Has anyone else? That's a good point. Has anyone else found it weird how companies do that? They're like, hey, do you want to donate through us and we'll get a tax break on your extra dime, versus if you just did it by yourself, you can get the tax break. So they're actually saving money by raising money, and they do it under the guise of you're helping people.
It's kind of funny.
Just think about that. It's still better than, you know, not doing anything, because a lot of people would never consider donating, but that's always been kind of a weird thing in the back of my mind, is like, you're just getting a tax break out of this.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah. There you go.
But
I ruined it for everyone.
Me neither. I mean, you saying that now, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Like that's
to be fair.
It is, and honestly, it still raises more money than if they didn't do it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of it's a double edged sword. It's a double edged sword for sure.
Yeah, like I'll be that jackass where like I don't really donate to any causes, but as soon as, you know, somebody who has the ideas that I also advocate for then is like, hey, I'm raising money for this charity, I'll be like, yeah, I'll donate to that.
Yeah, and like even like restaurants will do like, you know, but I'd say like restaurants often do the like roundup thing, like round up to nearest dollar and we'll donate. It's like, well, yeah, I'm not gonna like, I would not normally be like, let me give to the LA Food Bank 33 cents every time I get a burrito, but sure. But it is kind of funny that like it's not purely altruistic.
Oh, fellow meditation, I think you're specifically talking about Chipotle, eh? Is that the one?
Yes, in this instance, because I literally, yes. I thought I said the name and I realized I didn't, but you're right, I am talking Chipotle.
So, we're gonna go off tangent as we usually do. So,
Angel.
sorry, Angel, but there's, I ordered Chipotle through the app.
It's not good.
Same.
I mean, I pretty much said most of like, yeah.
So, I ordered Chipotle through the app, and
you get the points and stuff, or what?
Yeah, you get the points. Oh, I have so much free guac saved up, but I don't actually eat guac. but like I had ordered like a burrito, and I have a Chipotle relatively close to home, so I gave my tip, and then it started pouring hard, and I was like, oh, there's no way to modify your tip once you give it to Chipotle. So I gave this person what I think was a decent tip, but now that it's pouring rain, I was like, oh, had I known that was going to happen, I would have definitely given them way more, because they're getting me food during a pandemic, and it's raining cats and dogs, and now they're going to think that, like, man, this guy just does not care. It made me feel so bad for that entire day.
If it makes you feel better, a lot of people don't tip at all on those apps.
Yeah, but I don't care about other people.
No, but my point is, like, that sets the barometer low. So if you give anything, you're already ahead of the game a little.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, I get your point. I've had that same thing happen. Because the nice thing is, like Uber Eats, for example, you can actually modify the tip afterwards. So they have you review things, and I think you can at least. So yeah, like I've definitely in rainy days I've upped it, and it's been nice. And they even let the driver tip you back, or not tip you back. They just give you your money back, but they can actually like send you a thank you, and you get a push notification like your driver said thanks for the tip, which is a very small thing that actually makes a big impact in terms of like just like, oh, cool, But,
yeah, absolutely.
But yes, I also have a backlog of free guac because Chipotle just randomly throws free guac into the app every so often. So.
Yeah. Sorry we derailed your conversation.
Anyway, South Park and Whole Foods and gentrification and continue.
If it wasn't for the fact that I think we have access to like a guac tree.
You can. It's made from avocados, so you just need an avocado tree and you have a guac tree.
God damn it. Yeah, avocado tree, yeah. Yeah, we've had so much avocado lately, I'm actually starting to get kind of tired of it. But, anyway, but yeah, just like kind of like going off of that, like I don't know, just like how they keep like escalating the pressure to donate money, and in one instance, I guess Randy chooses not to donate, and I guess like when he gets his change, he has to like, I guess they attach like a giant cardboard cutout of like a little girl with a sandwich in her mouth, and you have to pull the sandwich out of her mouth in order to get your change. And the sandwich was just like stuck in there really hard that he had to like put his foot on her face and just like, just like yank the sandwich out, and they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to pull harder. Oh, that's the hungry one. And then he just like, gets his change, and he just like leaves like all like annoyed and messed up. But damn, but it's also in a way because like South Park is so topical and like so like literally of the moment. Watching them backwards is almost kind of like going through like a little time capsule of like what was big and what like was going on in those years, because you kind of forget like, oh, that's right, like there's a whole episode about like Yelp reviewers kind of like being like this, I guess like pretentious like people that just like go in and like, oh, I'm a Yelp reviewer, give me special treatment, I'm going to give you a 1 star, and Cartman being like the worst person, like taking advantage of like this restaurant getting all this free food, and seeing that one of the kids from that Mexican restaurant works at, goes to a school, like abusing that power, like, hey, say this like humiliating thing for me, and or else I'll give your parents a 1-star review. But I don't know, definitely, I don't know, just forget how funny and wacky the characters are in this show, especially like, oh man, Cartman is just, I forgot just how terrible of a person he is. Like, and I know like that's the whole point of it, but yeah, it's just like much worse. It's like I don't know, I guess I just had like this. Not as bad. I thought like there's like your classic like like I guess self-centered asshole characters from television. You have like your Benders and stuff, but yeah, I don't think anyone comes close to Cartman. Jesus.
Well, no, he literally made some kids into.
And I saw him revisiting
his parents into.
I found. Oh yeah. Literally.
Angel, have you ever seen a documentary of how they make an episode so quickly? It's really interesting because you're saying, like it's so timely and topical. Like that's one of the things I've always been impressed with South Park is the speed that they do it. Like if anyone out there hasn't seen that documentary, it's really interesting how they turn it around.
It's on HBO Max. It's why I mentioned that like they usually make an episode in 1 week. Because I think the documentary is called Seven Days to Air.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But no, yeah, it's great. And it's also just cool just, hearing them do the voices and just the advancement they've done in the animation and keeping things limited. But, like, it's also interesting going backwards because you see, like, they go into way more detail in a lot of these character models that it almost feels like they're just adding more work to themselves. Like, there's been way more times in the newer seasons than the older ones. I mean, I'm now an 18, so we're back to episodic episodes, or episodes that aren't really connected to each other that much, so watching them in any order doesn't really matter. But, you know, in typical South Park fashion, when characters walk, they just kind of bob up and down. But in the later seasons, like, especially, like, mainly Randy, like, almost exclusively walks, like, you know, like a normal person. Like, his legs actually move independent of each other. And certain characters actually do have, like, more intricate independent movements. And, I don't know, like, they're definitely using it to their advantage as to, you know, you could make someone look more cocky or confident or conceited, like, by, you know, making them do a more specific strut than just bobbing up and down. So, you know, they're definitely taking advantage of that. But I don't know. It's definitely interesting just seeing, like, how much, I don't know, I guess it's how, like, the technology is maybe advancing that they could just do that a lot faster because the production values are just getting higher and higher. Well, I guess, but the way I'm watching it, they're getting lower and lower.
You psycho.
Yeah.
You serial.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what this is? Because you're like, oh well, I'm doing it first with South Park and I'm keeping it within the episode, within the season. I'm going forward, but I'm going backwards for seasons. This is like the serial killer who like starts by like as a kid like killing small woodland creatures, and you find him in the forest. And you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be a bad person. Like that's you right now, and then it'll escalate to serial killing when you do Schitt's Creek fully backwards. You are the phase where like in every murder mystery they're like, oh, he used to skin squirrels or something. That's you right now. Just letting you know.
I mean, have you seen that documentary on Netflix? Don't kill cats on the internet.
I have not. I
saw
don't want
that.
to.
I saw that like 2 weeks ago.
It's like graphic, isn't it?
Man. I mean, that's pretty much what you described. You know, he starts with cats, and then he slowly escalates to people.
Yeah, Angel, that's you with South Park right now. And then next to Schitt's Creek, like
they never show any of the cat
Kevin?
brutalization or the cat.
Oh, good.
They
Okay.
never show the cat kills.
Yeah.
I think you get like
think it's gonna be
glimpses
very
of the dead cats.
They show the corpses like before and after.
Corpses,
oh,
but
yep, not watching that. As someone that has 3 cats in his apartment, I am not watching that.
They very clearly, I guess, show you when they're about to kill the cat, so you could just look away and you'll know to look away.
Yep, still not doing it. I have enough cat drama going on in my apartment, so don't need to.
You also kind of. They also show you like moments before like a person gets murdered, like on the bed, like stabbed.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that I'm okay with. It's always the cats. I'm like, I'm good. Like, sure, murder people, whatever, but the cats, how dare you?
Well, it's funny how you become a cat person.
It's. I never thought I used to be a dog person. But I still like dogs, but yeah, now I live with 3 cats. Who would have thought?
How's that been going for you?
It's more like 3 cats live with you.
Yeah, 3 cats live with me. It's okay. So all the cats, it's. Did you know that, like, if you groom a cat and they get shampooed, there's a decent chance that the other cats it lives with will not know who it is and they'll all hate each other? Because that's what happened. These cats, so we have a mom cat and 2 kittens that are kittens of said mom, so they're family. And we went and got the kittens' claws trimmed, I guess nails cut, I don't know what you would call it. But for the mom, she's a Persian cat with very thick, like almost like cotton candy-like fur. So we got her dematted, like her hair will like clump, and shampooed. Should have been fine. She walks into the apartment again. Well, doesn't walk in. She comes in a carrier. And then we take her out and she walks around. The kids come up and kind of smell her because like, what's going on? You smell different. And the mom, because she's agitated from getting shampooed, kind of swipes at one of the kids and is like, back off. And then the kid comes back like, what's going on? Like, why are you like this? And just like hissing, growling, chasing fight breaks out. This is in December. It's now, what's the day this episode goes up? The 21st of February, and we still have to keep the cats separated. So the 2 kittens are fine with one another. The mom, anytime she sees them, as recently as yesterday, will chase them and corner them, and a whole lot of fur goes flying, and there's a lot of hissing and growling and weird guttural noises you didn't know cats can make. And it's really sad, because it's like, you know, the mom of these kittens, the kittens still kind of know it's mom. The mom knows it's her kittens. They don't smell different, but she's just so agitated by being agitated at one time, and now it's like sort of perpetuating in her head, and it's just like this whole thing. And we've tried all sorts of different ways. We basically have to reintroduce the mom to the kittens as if you're bringing a new cat home for the first time, which includes keeping them in separate rooms and then like moving the food closer together. But that hasn't worked. Like you've like 2 food bowls, one on each side of the door. So now we have literally hired, didn't know this was real, a cat behaviorist to help us, like, kind of coach us through, because there's like a bunch of different factors at play. Like maybe
you guys hired a cat whisperer?
Literally, yep. And it was really fun because we were like looking up like what to do, because we were like, oh, some vet clinics might have some. And we found one that this woman's like, oh, I use the blah 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 method, like the Kingsburg Noro method or something. And we're like, what is that? And then we scroll up to the pop page, we're like, oh, that's just her last name. She's literally making up her own method, but okay. But she had a lot of good reviews and is very good at what she does. So yeah, we're trying that. And it's crazy because it's been 3 months of a mom and the kittens, all one family, always be super close, super friendly. And then just one day, literally flip of a switch. It's like they don't even know each other. And it's mostly the mom that's the agitator, and the kittens are just trying to like stay safe. So they never really strike back, but they.
Have you tried grooming the mom?
It's not great.
What if you give them the equal smell?
Well, so there's a lot of factors at play, because now the concern is if we were to groom the kittens with the same shampoo as the mom, the kittens won't we're worried they won't recognize each other, because one nice thing they do currently is the kittens have each other's backs. Like when something happens with mom, or when they're cautious about something, one of them will kind of like, they'll go together, they'll sort of scope it out, and then they'll do this adorable little nose bop to each other, where they could like get a quick smell of each other to confirm, okay, we're safe, we're good. So we're worried if we disrupt that, we're not going to have to keep 3 cats in 3 separate rooms. Because right now the kittens are like a single unit and the mom's the isolated one. And we do rotate, the kittens sometimes get to have the majority of the apartment, and then the mom's in the bedroom, and then we switch them. So the mom gets some room to move around, and the kittens get to, hang out in the bedroom where they have a nice cat tower and stuff. But it's a weird situation. And apparently, to your point about the scent, they also have to rub up against each other and stuff. Like there's like pheromones they produce that aren't just in shampoo. So even if we did just a shampoo again, the pheromone's gone.
What if?
And they could all have a collective scent of something different, but it's not like, oh, you're a fellow cat. It's like, what are you? So.
What if?
It's messy.
What if you blindfold them? You blindfold them, and you rub them up against each other.
So there's a better way to do that, where you just take a towel or a brush and you brush them, and then you brush them with the same towel. You don't need to like a magic trick.
No. You got to cut out the middleman. All right, you got to cut out the brush.
So are you imagining like it's like the cats are basically defibrillators, and you're rubbing them against each other, and then clear, and suddenly they're fine?
Essentially, it's like you blindfold them, you tie them up, so so that they don't attack.
You tie them up, my God.
Yeah, you tie them up.
You really did just watch the Cat Killer show, didn't you?
And then you rub them up against each other, and
so conceptually, yes, that's ultimately what we need to do, is get familiar with each other's scent. But also, there's a visual element. So they only identify each other by scent, but they like in a way of like familiarity, but they can sense, like there's apparently, as I'm learning from our cat whisperer, one of the things they need to do is understand that the other cat's not a threat. So if they see the other cat, mainly they will freak out. Like the mom, Nutmeg. So the cat's name's Nutmeg's the mom. Then there's Coco and Rafiki, who are the kids, named after Disney characters. Originally there were 6 kittens. 4 now are with other people. Actually 2 of them are with a Disney Channel star. So, and his mom, who's also an actress. So that's kind of cool. If anyone's ever seen the Disney Channel original movie Zombies, he's the main dude in that, and he's now on like other stuff, and is like actually potentially becoming bigger than Disney Channel.
Disney Channel? It must have been way.
It's a musical about racism under the guise of zombies versus non-zombies, like humans needing to accept their zombie neighbors. Not kidding, real thing. I watched it after.
Okay, way past.
And there's a sequel. It's big enough that there's a sequel. But yeah, I ended up watching it after we met him because I was like, oh, well, if this is the guy that's taking care of these kittens that the mom birthed, I should probably see what he's all about. So, the answer, he's about singing and dancing about unity through zombies. Anyway, so, where was I going with this?
Wasn't that the plot?
Oh yeah, it's the mom, Nutmeg, sees the kittens. It's not far removed.
Gotcha.
But this one's a musical. Warm Bodies is not.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's set in a high school. I'm telling you, it's like the zombie wants to be a football player, and like he's dating a cheerleader who's a human, and like everyone's like, "Oh, you're a zombie. You can't be a football player." He's like, "Why not? Aren't we all like people?" And they're like, "No, you're literally a zombie." And he's like, "Oh, and that's the movie. But,
Seems like you were.
I mean, actually, as like an allegory for like kids to like embrace differences and stuff is actually pretty well done. But it's such a silly premise. Anyway, so the mom, if she sees the kids, if Nutmeg sees Rafiki or Coco, she will just lunge at them. So you're right, Ken. There is an element of visual. So one of the things the Cat Whisperer taught us is you have to show them that like the cats will move around and be cat-like, but they won't necessarily go at each other because they are wired to think if they see each other, they attack each other. So if we have the mom, this is real, on a leash with a harness, and she sees the kittens who are in an enclosed space across the room playing with a toy, you can slowly sort of undo the conditioning that's been done from that initial interaction. So it could take up to 3 months. So I'll report back well after our 1 year mark of QC.
Gotcha. And
it's a weird scenario.
Cool. And unless we want to discuss anything else, I think that'll do it for this episode.
Just like don't wash your cats. That's the takeaway. That's all I have. Don't wash your cats.
Don't wash it. Why?
But yeah,
see,
I think
you could have saved that for the end. So now I'm going to need you to come
up with something else.
Yeah.
I got. Do I have something? I'll think about it while you do all the plugs and stuff.
All right, cool. Angel, did you have anything to add?
No. Just damn, cats sound weird.
Yep, cats sound weird.
Definitely
That's
fun in small doses.
Dude, no, that's the thing is they're all... Okay, I'm diving back in for a sec. They're all incredibly loving and affectionate to us, just not to each other. And the kittens love each other, but like it's super weird because like she'll lunge at them, the mom, and then I'll pick her up and be like, "What are you doing?" And she'll start licking my face and purring. Like there's like a.
Why don't you just let her lunge?
No, because the kittens get hurt. Like one of them,
to let her get it out of her system.
You can't. They don't settle. It just becomes worse if you do that. It's not like dogs where if they, go at it for a minute, they'll be like, whatever, and move on.
They will kill each other?
Not necessarily kill, but it definitely does not. It gets worse. I don't know about death, but like worse. No one's blood yet. And I'm worried if you let go, and what we've been advised is if you let go, there could be blood. There will be blood. I drink your milkshake, etc., etc.
I drink your milkshake, etc., etc.
Yeah. There will be blood. I'm glad you picked up on that, Kevin.
I love There Will Be Blood. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right, cool. Next week we will have a brand new episode of Random Nintendo where we will be discussing the Nintendo Direct that happened on, when was it, Wednesday? This past Wednesday?
Yes, sir. It was on Thursday. No, it was Wednesday, you're right. It was Wednesday.
Yeah, so this Wednesday.
Because I had a conflicting meeting and it was heartbreaking.
I will most likely be talking about Persona 5 Strikers. What else is there in that episode?
There is, I believe, Angel has a Neo Geo game that he's checking out, and I'm probably gonna play the Project Triangle Strategy demo by then. So lots of little things.
Cool. So yeah, check that out. And 2 weeks from now, brand new episode of Forza Chronicles. I'm sorry?
Square Enix and their names.
Oh, yeah. Square Enix and their names.
No, I just said that studio's on point with names.
Any game that's logo is just like Times New Roman with an underline by Square Enix is going to have the stupidest name. That's basically there's like 4 games in now with these dumb names.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So go ahead, follow us on your favorite podcasting app. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. I keep forgetting all of them. I think that's all of them.
No, I think you got them.
All right, cool. On YouTube, we are RandomNintendo.com. On our Twitter, we are at Random Nintendo. Individually, we are JSR7 for Jason, WEIRO_O for Angel. I am KVN Gomi. And yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Jason, take us out.
I'm going to bring it full circle. We started talking about how people intro YouTube videos. We're going to end it with what else? Smash that like button. Ring that bell. Be sure to subscribe, etc., etc., etc.